What's up, everybody? John Eric Poli here with My MMA News, and today's guest is the Cardi B of MMA, coming off a big win at UFC 270 over Silvana Gomez Suarez. I'm pleased to be joined by Vanessa Demopoulos here again today. Vanessa, appreciate the time as always. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, let's go. What's up, everyone?
So, obviously, all smiles here today, and for good reason after a big victory like that. Just, how good does it feel right now at this moment in time? You worked so hard to get to this opportunity, get into the UFC, and to now finally get your first UFC victory. Just how good does it feel?
It's like I literally couldn't even begin to describe the awesomeness. I think my reactions in the cage were just so wildly amplified for all of the reasons that it's that's kind of what it felt like. If you've ever done that, even in the car by yourself when no one was watching, that's how it felt times 1,000. So that's totally, yes. Yes. That's my answer. Yes.
So let's talk about this win here, right? So it was crazy to say the least, right? I mean, you get rocked with such a big shot there before getting the submission victory there. Before we break in the actual armbar itself, let's talk about the shot that you took there. Obviously, I mean, it landed flush. She knocked you right down there. In that moment in time, I can only imagine what's going through your mind. Just take us through that. When you got hit with that punch, you get knocked down to the canvas. What are you thinking?
Nothing. I wasn't thinking anything. I didn't see it. I didn't even know it hit me. All of a sudden, I'm doing jiu-jitsu, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go!" I was instantly cheering for myself because it's I'm on the feet, I'm fighting, and then I'm going for an armbar. I'm like, "Yeah!" Yeah. It was obviously I have watched the fight. It was obviously a really solid freaking punch right down the pipe, man. I mean, I ate a knuckle sandwich for breakfast right there for sure. And yeah, so but I didn't it's not like I felt it and I was like, oh fuck. She had hit me before that had happened with just this freaking right hand from yesterday's bad news. And I was like, oh, all right. We're not even fighting. She just trying to throw these haymakers. I got it. Check. Like, but that was the first one that she smacked me with. Yeah, and I didn't see that last one for sure. So,
Well, hey, it all ended up working itself out because you did get into a great jiu-jitsu position there, which is your bread and butter, obviously. And I know the last time that we talked, you talked a lot about how much you love competing in that. So when you're in that spot, right, she thinks she has you hurt. She's coming in full blazing, going for a finish like that. Just how exactly then were you able to kind of get her into a position like that? Because I mean, we've seen it time and time again where fighters go in for a kill, and a lot of times the fighter on the ground is a sitting duck. How are you able to kind of be composed like that and get her into a position like that? Because it was a real crazy scramble. It went from being oh no, she's in trouble to, oh wait, no she's not, no she's not.
yeah, I would definitely have to give a lot of credit to so much competition that I've done, and it's one of those when you got it, you fucking got it. And I mean, to be fair, there's been other fights where I thought I had it and I didn't. But man, it's stripper guard number one, which is a real thing. Pole dancing has been a huge accolade to why my jiu-jitsu game is so strong. My legs are so strong. Once I clamp on, I know that it's there. You're not going to go anywhere. So that gives me enough confidence to be able to maneuver the position correctly enough to finally get to the submission, to be able to have the leverage necessary. So yeah, it's just having a lot of confidence in the positions and a lot of experience.
So getting to talk to you about all of this has been so much fun, right? We just talked a couple weeks ago and we did a whole big thing about you talking about your stripping background there. But to say that stripping is the credit for a UFC victory, I think it's a whole nother level. So I'm going to need you to expand on this here a little bit here. My mind is blown right now. Just how has stripping we talked in the past, right? It's been a great fitness thing. It's kept you in great shape. It's provided you with a lot of money to pursue this dream. But how exactly now are we at this point where stripping is leading to UFC victories?
Stripper guard. It's this whole thing, and I mean, of course I made it up, but it's really the strength that I've acquired through pole dancing has translated seamlessly into MMA fighting, which is like, you know, the fluidity of the movements, just understanding where I am and what needs to happen next, and not necessarily having so much of a thought process, but being able to have the motion necessary, you know, having awareness in where my body is right now, and knowing where I need to go. Like, all of these things are just like a huge credit to being a pole dancer. And like, if you've ever seen dancing before, I promise, like, so many people are going to start looking at pole dancing, but it's a full body workout, you know, and it's like, you're just lifting all of your body weight, like over and over and over again in these crazy gymnastics, like crazy flexibility, durability, movement, fluidity. Like, man, I literally couldn't explain how amazing pole dancing has been to now be able to use it for jiu-jitsu specifically. Not so much on the feet, but definitely in jiu-jitsu, it's helped me a lot.
Talk about a circle of life here, right? From stripping to UFC victories here. And obviously, I know we talked, right, about the money that you make doing stripping, right? It's great money that you come into from having all the guys throw singles at you like that. But another great source of income, fight night bonuses. So an extra $50,000 for a performance of the night bonus there. Talk about that and what that was like to be able to get that honor of a performance of the night. And that $50,000 that you got, are you going to go off, spend it, or is that going right into the savings account?
I'm going to throw it on some strippers. No, honestly, I have a whole game plan of what I look forward to doing and using it for. I want to be able to allow that income to generate more income, you know, because I did quit dancing now. So this is something that, like, this is investment. Like, I've invested in myself and invested in myself. And now I get to take this and continue to invest it so that we can continue to fight. Like, I'm just really looking forward to this whole process, man. Like, how freaking cool, dude. How freaking cool. Like, okay, sorry, my bad. Got a little aggressive there for a second.
No, it's I don't know. It really is. It's something that's great, and it's great to see you continue to have this success and seeing all the smiles that's brought to your face. And right afterwards, right? So you're obviously very excited. Right? We saw the split in the middle of the octagon. You're running around hugging all your coaches and everybody. But then there was that,
and a commissioner. Apparently, there was a commissioner in there that I accidentally hugged. I don't even know that guy.
That did happen on the broadcast. There was some I didn't even know it was the commissioner. I just thought it was some random guy coming into the corner that you hugged there. That did indeed happen. But the one moment I thought was really cool was when Joe Rogan came into the octagon to interview you, and you were like ecstatic. That was like a number one moment of the night, just how happy you were to be interviewed by Joe Rogan. So just talk about that, how awesome that was to get to be interviewed by him.
Oh my God, it's Joe Rogan. Man, I mean, yeah, it's Joe Rogan. So I'm a jiu-jitsu person. He's a black belt, you know, under Eddie Bravo, mind you. And it's like, I'm just like, I've always watched UFC and he's such a staple, you know? So it's like, yeah, like to be in that moment and amongst that moment, like that was one of those, like, I'm here, you know, like, oh my gosh, like I get to talk to Joe Rogan right now. Like, what a cool moment, you know, like, So, yeah, that was all of that excitement. I mean, like, how awesome is that? And so, like, one, it's Joe Rogan, but two, it was more about like the magnitude of like the representation of getting the opportunity to talk to Joe Rogan, which was all of that excitement. And it was freaking cool. Yeah. If you'd ever get to dab up your dreams come true, I did that. Yeah, I did that.
It has to be quite the moment, I'm sure. And I wanted to ask you, too, I know you mentioned there about being obviously a fan of jiu-jitsu and Joe Rogan with that regard, but are you a fan of his podcast as well? Because I feel like you'd be like the perfect guest for Joe Rogan's podcast.
Someone needs to let Joe Rogan know, all right? Because someone send Joe Rogan a DM, let him know you need Little Monster on that podcast. Yeah, that's, I'd love to be on that podcast. Are you kidding me? Yes, let's go.
Like I said, you'd be a fantastic guest on there. I know recently, actually, it's been all over the news. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but like so many people are like protesting his podcast and saying Spotify should take it off, which is BS in my personal opinion. But I just want to get your thoughts on that and everything that's been going on with that. Like, I feel like Joe Rogan, he's the man. Like, there's a reason why like 11 million people watch his podcast a day. I just want to get your thoughts as to whether or not, I think it should keep going. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely feel the same way. Like, dude, so, okay, it's a podcast, right? Like, it's not a news anchor. And here's the problem and why people are protesting, because they can't control him. Like, he was just like, it's his opinion. Like, he's allowed to give it and he's entitled to it. And everyone else who listens to it is entitled to their own opinions. Like, it's not censored in any way, shape, or form. And that's why it is so amazing. So, right. Like, I think it's silly. People need to feel the way that they feel and accept opinions that they choose to accept. And if you don't like it, you don't have to take that as your own. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I got a plate of food and I got like steak and potatoes and some mushrooms, and which I love all of those things, but let's just say I hate mushrooms, I'm not going to eat the freaking mushrooms. Like, I'll eat the steak, I'll eat the potatoes, forget the mushrooms. You know what I'm saying? Like, gosh, people, quit being so damn sensitive. Get it together. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, at the end of the day, it comes down to, if you don't like let's even put it this way. You like Joe Rogan's podcast. You don't like his guest that's on that day? Don't listen to it. It's that, like, we're not doing rocket science here. We have to all learn to respect each other's opinions here at some point, because it's getting to the point where this world is just so divided over things that don't need to be divided over. Like, we're human beings. We all have different opinions, and I'm sure you could agree on this, that it's time that we all start, like, getting together, respecting each other, and, hey, people have differences. We have different viewpoints. Time to move on.
Yeah. I think that's something I've definitely battled my whole life, being a stripper and a Christian and loving God, and then also punching people in the face. It's not easy, so people's opinions can be whatever they are, but the reality is that you're entitled to your own. So that part.
Indeed. And now let's get back into some fight stuff here. I know we could talk about all this other side stuff here for an hour here, but back to the fight game here. Obviously, right, great victory. You get out of there in the first round. Do you kind of have like a time limit on like when you'd like to return now that you got out of there in such a short amount of time?
I mean, I'd love to fight, so I'm healthy. I'm still in shape. And yeah, like I was just training yesterday, just having some fun in Tulum, and whatever, man, that's up to my management team. That's up to Meg. That's up to the UFC. But I do know that right now I'm just going to keep myself healthy, keep myself together, and work on the in-between things that I know I need to work on. Because let's be honest, there's some holes in the game. All right. So we're going to get it together.
And I know you like to travel too. So I think you told me off air, right? You're going to go up to Canada for a little bit, help Lupi Godinez out. Just what are some of the traveling trips you have coming up here?
Definitely going to head over to San Diego for a little bit. I'm heading up to Canada. And I'd like to make a trip over to Texas, say what's poppin'. I just love traveling. Like, every day is a brand new adventure to me. I didn't know I was going to Tulum until I was going to Tulum. I wake up some mornings and things just happen, and life is amazing. It's beautiful. And I just roll with the punches, man. Literally.
Literally. And I did want to get your thoughts too on the co-main event that night, because Davison Figueiredo, I believe he spent some time at Fight Ready for this fight, did a lot of work with Henry Cejudo. So I know you were in camp at the same time as him. What was that like, seeing him do what he did and get his title back there?
Man, that was absolutely amazing, and it was just so cool to like watch the whole process unfold, because, and I'm sure there's going to be like, there was a behind the scenes camera person from the UFC that was like following his whole journey, but it's like, there's so much that happens behind the scenes that people don't realize. Like, there was a lot of obstacles that needed to be overcome, even throughout Figgy's camp. And I was like, holy shit, man, like, way to hold it together, like, way to be a professional, and that's just things that like people don't see, so like to be able to celebrate a victory, it's just absolutely amazing, like, it's just amazing. And it's world changing to be able to see that stuff so up close and personal, because it's like the same coaches that are coaching the people who are winning these belts are the same coaches that I get the privilege of working with, and it's awesome. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah, it's a great thing too going on down there at Fight Ready too. It's been great seeing all of you guys do what you've done over the last few years. A lot of success down there in Arizona. And I did want to get your thoughts on something else too, fight related here. I know you mentioned before, right, that you're not going to strip anymore, but that was a pretty big storyline afterwards that you mentioned how right up to this camp you were still working in the industry, and not along these same lines too. A lot of the big headlines have come about fighter pay recently. I just want to get your thoughts in regards to that, because it's been such a big thing with the UFC raising their pay-per-view prices, and a lot of fans are upset about it. There's a lot that goes into this. It's a whole moving thing, but just now that you're in a position that you don't have to work a side job anymore, just how happy are you, number one, with that, and then just your thoughts on fighter pay?
Ooh, not a subject I'm going to talk about. So I feel like that's a little bit too touchy for me, man. Dana don't like all that talk, and right now I really love my job, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. I had a conversation with a fan the other day that was complaining a lot about the prices getting raised and complaining about fighters' pay. And I told him it's not as like clear, black and white as you would think. There's a lot of things that go into it and a lot of moving parts. So
yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. I think it's one of those ordeals where it's like all of us fighters have the exact same opportunity. And the UFC is a machine, and they're a business and they're just running a business. But it's up to us fighters to be able to use those opportunities properly. Like we have a certain amount of time in that cage, and take advantage of the opportunities that we have, and like I'm hoping that with my career, like I get to take advantage of a lot of opportunities inside the cage and outside of the cage. And the UFC is one of those vehicles that I get to kind of drive, but I have a lot of things that are happening in my life, even outside of being a fighter. And I think that we have an opportunity to make a large sum of money at the same time. Like take that, create some investments, be smart about your money, and then that way you can allow your income to create something greater for yourself and create a legacy, and something that you can pass down to the rest of your family. Like that's the stuff that's important to me, like I think that we need to be more than just athletes in the cage who are getting punched for a living, because that's not going to last forever. And recognizing that as a part of creating something larger through that.
That was a beautiful way to sum everything up there. You said it perfectly. What a great way to kind of wrap things up on that topic there. And then one other thing that I did want to ask you about now that you're done with the industry there, with stripping and pole dancing there. I know you're a big supporter of it still. I know you've written a book on it there. Do you still plan on, now that I know you're going to be out of the industry as far as performing, but do you still plan on, being active as far as like attending different clubs and writing books and just kind of being a part of that community as well?
Potentially, this is also new to me. So I'm always going to be like an advocate of it. Obviously, like this is the thing now, I'm the Cardi B of MMA. Let's go. It's funny because even when we did the interview, I didn't tell anyone that I had been done dancing, but I wasn't dancing at that time. And you asked me a lot of questions about the industry, and I'm just like, I'm not dancing anymore. But yeah, like I do see myself, and even right now, like I've gotten a lot of orders of the book, and the book is a how-to, and I think it's really cool. Like that's why I wrote it, was to be able to help girls in the industry. So I'm always going to be a part of the industry in some form or another, but we'll see to what depths. You just won't be seeing me shaking it for dollars anymore. How's that?
Those days are long gone. Vanessa, great performance. Congratulations again. One last thing now before we roll out, though. Social media management, sponsors, whoever you want to give a shout out to, please feel free to do so.
Let's go, Lil Monster Demo on Instagram. So I'm going to be having a lot of other things popping off. I got sponsors to thank and everything, and they're going to be right there. A huge shout out to Go Big Biz. So that's been one of my largest supporters, and Rogue. CBD remedies. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you.
All right, guys, that was Vanessa Demopoulos. Vanessa, thanks so much again for the time here today. Really appreciate it. Great conversation as always. And to everybody that's out there watching today's interview, I appreciate it. If you like today's interview, please do me a favor. Go to the bottom, give this interview a thumbs up. And also keep going to MyMMANews.com, checking out our great content that comes out there. And if anybody wants to find me on Instagram or Twitter, I'm at John Eric Poli. We'll see you later, everybody.